Hi, my name is Alan Woods, co-founder and CEO of MORTAR. MORTAR is an entrepreneurship accelerator based in Cincinnati. We primarily work with Black entrepreneurs in their communities to give them the tools, resources, and tips to strengthen their businesses. In 2014, me and two other co-founders, Derek Brazil and William Thomas, came together and created MORTAR. Mostly because we saw that there were a lot of different changes happening in the community, specifically in Over the Rhine, and we wanted to make sure that Black entrepreneurs had a chance to be a part of those changes and a part of that dynamic, because that was a Black neighborhood. We wanted to make sure that as the new businesses were opening, that it was also reflected in the business ownership, because we were walking to different businesses and all the diversity that you saw on the sidewalks disappeared as soon as you walked into the businesses. You would see people working, but you wouldn't see people who were the owners, and we wanted to make sure that they had the opportunity to own their own business. My grandparents used to have all the subscriptions to, everybody's grandparents had the subscriptions to Ebony and Jet, this is pre-Essence even, and there was always the ad for Newport or Cool or something, and it looked cool, like they was having fun, they looked like the people you want to hang around, but it was like, still just wasn't my thing, but the ads were always there, and it just was, I think it was a really big part of like American culture at that time, specifically, that, smoking was part of the thing. You had your Colt 45 and you had your Cools or your Newports or whatever it was, and it was just like kind of ingrained in, African American culture that this is kind of one of the things that you do as part of the relaxation mode. My parents were divorced, so I would go from my mom's house to my dad's house. My dad smoked, my mom didn't. And so I always remember when I came back home, like having to leave my clothes in the garage. Like she was like, I don't want that smell in here. So it was like, leave your bag and stuff in there, then we'll take everything, throw it in the washing machine. And I just remember my dad smoked all the time. And, as I got older and he would ask me to go get him cigarettes, I would I never would go get them. I'd be like, nah, you're gonna have to find somebody else to be your plug. Cause I just didn't, I didn't support the habit. I know that was his lifestyle, but it just wasn't something that I was going to, encourage. Building a culture that's smoke-free has to do with kind of alternatives, like realizing why people lean into smoking. Like I mentioned, sometimes the picture that's painted is kind of like relaxation mode. It's kind of the escape. So it's how do we also build other alternatives for escape, And so one of the things that we weren't advertising in that same time that we were advertising cigarettes, we weren't advertising mental health and, therapy and having, those types of dialogues. So I think that that's a huge part of it is like, what is the stress reliever? If we're saying that, before it was advertised that this is a thing you relieve stress with, what is the thing that we're now encouraging people to do instead? Is that exercise? Is that, therapy? Is it whatever those other things are? I think with all of those things that are habit forming, you find the alternative. I think a lot of times you try to remove one thing, but when you remove something, you have to replace it with something else. I think that there's always there's three different areas that I look at as wellness for entrepreneurs. And the first one that everybody thinks of is like, I'm in this for financial wellness, and that's one of three. Perfect. But if we look at the other two sides of that triangle, it's mental wellness and it's physical wellness. So I think that as an entrepreneur, you're going to have that experience where you have that stress, and you have to understand that when one of those three things is out of sync, the other ones are going to also be out of sync. So if your finances are off, it can also throw off your mental health. And when that's off, it's also throwing off your physical health. So really kind of filling those gaps and making sure that you're building kind of this triangle around you as an entrepreneur, where you're not only focused on the finances, because when you do that, you also start to not eat like you're supposed to or not sleep like you're supposed to. And so that affects all of the other ones. And so I think just having that balance between those three. For people who are looking to get into entrepreneurship, think about the thing that you're most passionate about, for one, and think about the things that will also be something you can monetize, because there's a way to kind of couple those two things, and if you are doing something that makes a ton of money, but you really don't enjoy it, you're not passionate about it, it doesn't bring you joy, it doesn't kind of enhance your life, it's going to be something where it starts to bring more stress into your life. And also, when you're doing things that you are passionate about, but you're relying on that for financial security and it's not bringing money in, it can also add stress. So if you can find something where you are passionate about this thing, but it can also bring money into your life and bring happiness into your life, that's the thing that you need to pursue. And just be patient with it, because it's not an overnight thing. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to require a lot of dedication and patience. If you're really trying to quit, it's designed to make it difficult to quit. So like anything else in life, the things that are often the most challenging also have the biggest reward. So think about the reward of being able to be around for your family for longer, the reward of having more money in your pocket. Like, for one, I can't even imagine spending the money that people spend on cigarettes. Like, I feel like you have to be wealthy to smoke. Like, I can't afford that type of habit in my life. So it's also finding those other things that bring reward to you. And understanding that when you're not buying this thing, you're doing something else. So whether that's building generational wealth for your family or just making sure that you're around to see your family live, grow, and thrive later on. I mean, those are some motivations that I would encourage people to kind of focus on when they're having those challenges.